Hey guys, AuspiciousAussie here, and welcome to episode 68 of the San Marino Challenge. Now, today's episode, of course, is going to be the game against Benevento. It is the last game of the season. But first things first, I do have a note saved. Now, the stadium expansion, as you can see, was completed, and we have actually returned to the stadium. I did play one home game after this happened. But I mean, it's not really anything too special. Obviously, the expansion increases the stadium seating capacity by 8,600 seats, giving us a grand total of 25,801. And as you can see down the bottom here, 34,402 is the maximum that we can have with this stadium. We'll probably get another one because I don't really expect us to be winning the World Cup anytime soon because, once again, the youth intake was very, very average. Basically, got no good San Marinese players. I think I went over it a little bit last episode, but the national team, it's just not progressing. It's kind of stalled a little bit. You know, the facilities have been increased. Like, you know, we're pretty decent. Good training. Obviously, we've had exceptional junior coaching and extensive youth recruitment for quite some time now. However, you know, essentially the only real good quality players that we get through are either Italian or they're dual nationality with Italian. So, yeah, it's tough. Of course, we've got more World Cup qualifiers coming up in terms of the national team. As you can see, we're 2 losses from 2 games. Not great, but sort of expected. I had a little bit, I wanted to have high hopes for the group. However, it is a very tough group, and I think we'll be lucky if we even get a draw out of all these games, which, it sucks, but we have to be realistic. We are much, much worse than a lot of these teams that we're playing at the moment. Anyways, as you can see, the league table, we have won the league, champions yet again. That is 3 seasons in a row, actually. However, this season, not as impressive as the last 2, really. If we get the win here today, we will be 1 point worse off than we were the first time round. But as you can see, Inter finished in second place on 77. We're currently in first with a game in hand on 81 points. So, in terms of our competition, there wasn't really much to compete against us. Obviously, we had a little bad spell. Inter caught up a little bit. They actually overtook us at one stage. However, we bounced back straight away. Let me just delete this note before I forget. Let's go over the fixtures. Of course, the last episode was the disappointing 0-0 draw against Hertha, knocking us out in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. We followed that up with a 5-0 victory over Sampdoria. Vitek, Yusufi, Novi and Viviani on the score sheet there with a brace. We then smashed Salernitana as well, 4-0 away from home. Formato, Viviani, Nesic and Antonio. Then we had a pretty bad run of fixtures. 2 draws and a loss. The first of which was a 1-1 draw with Sassuolo. Definitely a game we probably should have won. Formato scored a penalty in the 87th minute. They got the equaliser 2 minutes later in the 89th. The next game was a 0-0 draw at the new stadium. Well, not the new stadium. Well, technically it still is the new stadium. However, as you can see, 25,801. We sold it out in the first game after the expansion, so pretty happy with that. As you can see, Formato decided to get sent off with a straight red card in the 6th minute. Bologna also had a player sent off, but we couldn't really push on for the victory there. And the final game just played was a 2-0 loss to Fiorentina. Basically, the man of the match was a dreadful average left back. And I honestly can't believe that he got man of the match. I may as well show you. He's really bad. He's bad. He's got a little bit of pace, but that's just about it. He's 26 years old. The fact that he got man of the match and a player like Nesic got a 6.1, it just, I don't know. It kind of infuriates me a little bit. Obviously, Nesic is a much better player. Anyways, that is the fixtures. Let's get into today's game. Obviously, Benevento I think they were already relegated. Not too sure. I didn't really pay too much attention there to it. But yeah, today's lineup is going to be Ingvarsen in goals, Brajin at right back, Cervellini comes up into the first team. Looking pretty impressive. Again, one of the players that has the dual nationality, and he's already got an under-21 cap for Italy, so that sucks. He'll be partnered by Vicini in the centre of defence today, and then I'm going to go with Nesic on the left. Novi will be the defensive midfielder today, along with Viviani and Terenzi sitting in front of him. Yusufi will be the right winger after Marto comes back in after that disappointing red card, and Albani will be up front. The bench today is going to be Marino, Ivan, Antonio, Brutos, Nalascoin, Vitek, Chanpalat, Veta, Petricevic, and Sabanda. Obviously, they're in 19th. I expect a win, especially being at home. I really want to just end the season off on a better note because, like I said, the last 3 games have been pretty dreadful. I think the draw against Bologna was when we sealed the league title. So, again, a draw for that as Novi. Oh no, Yusufi. Yusufi gets on the score sheet. I thought that was Novi. Anyway, happy to open the scoring here in the first couple of minutes. But, yeah, I mean, to get a really disappointing 0-0 draw to win the league, it was pretty anticlimactic. And obviously I wanted to smash them, but yeah, I guess we can smash Benevento. Yeah, Benevento. Very interesting club. Their logo is like a witch. Not really too sure about their history. I might actually have a little look at that because, it could be interesting. So yeah, I think Cervellini, I think this is his debut. It's worth noting that the under-20s did win their league as well. Pretty obvious. I mean, I say obviously, but there are a few, decent youth teams out there. Obviously, both Milan teams, Juventus. I think even Lazio have a pretty good under-20s team. But yeah, happy to win that. Viviani, get in. 18th goal of the season for him. Yusufi with an assist there as well. Disappointing, the fact that I have to offer Famato a new contract. Otherwise, he's essentially got 1 year left at the end of this season. And at the moment, he wants about 180,000 per week, which is pretty extortionate, I would say. Although he is essentially our best player. Alright, so we go into the half at 2-0. Pretty dominant so far. Obviously, they're not really going to offer too much, especially if they're already relegated, which I believe they are. We've actually had 11 shots on target from 12 shots, which you don't really see that happen too often, where the shot count is so close. And Formatos has picked up an injury. Lovely. Alrighty, I was just about to ease Novi off the tackles there, and I really hate it when that happens. It's like, what was the point? Because, the tactic change went through, but the injury substitution doesn't. Kind of mind-boggling a little bit, I guess, but who else can we bring on here today? Let's bring Veta on. Hasn't really played too much recently, and he's not really match fit either, so I guess giving him a few minutes in this final game of the season will hopefully do him some good. Again, I'm not really too sure if I want to sell him, as Albani finally scores. That's only his second goal of the season, coming in the last game as well. He's been pretty disappointing, obviously coming off the bench. He has started a few games though. He definitely has started when I've given him game time in order to, aid his development. Albani again, just over the bar. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to, these players with the dual nationality actually, growing up a bit. Once they're over the age of like 22, 23, and they're not really being picked, they might opt to swap over to San Marino. And once I obviously give them the cap in a proper competitive game, they'll be stuck with us, for better or worse. Anyways, nice little 3-0 victory there. Happy with that to end the season off. Like I said, needed a good win there, and that's definitely what we got. Vicini, man of the match. Famato, out for 4 weeks. Again, Cervellini on his debut. Good stuff. We'll praise Vicini here as well. And then we'll just do a little bit of a end of season review. I will actually show you the finances as well, because it's interesting. We have 270 mil in the bank. However, the projection, well, it looks a little bit better now after the 11 mil that we just got for winning Serie A. But yeah, this projection's really bad. For some reason, the expenditure is going to go up almost 100 million, which I don't really understand, because we're not doing anything, if that makes sense. We're not building a new stadium. We don't have any debt. It's just odd. Just very odd. I'm thinking it doesn't really take into consideration the TV money for next season, and obviously the season after that as well. Anyways, 84 points we finish the season off on. Let's have a quick little look at the best performers for this season. Interesting, Vitek. I mean, a player that I honestly think he's pretty average. But for some reason, he just performs. Been at the club for a long time. I think, was that the first season? Again, I can't really remember. I should probably know these things, but 13 goals, 16 assists, 7.55 average rating for him in 41 starts, 1 sub-appearance. I just don't get it. I don't understand how he's playing so good. I really don't. Anyways, Cervellini obviously only the 1 game there. Then we have Famato, arguably the best player to ever play for San Marino Calcio. He had 17 goals, 13 assists, 7.49, so just a little bit lower than Vitek there. Then behind him, we've got Vicini, who put in a massive goal performance this season. 18 goals for Vicini. Only 7 assists, which is not great, but, still pretty respectable for a centre mid. And a 7.39 average rating for him as well. Behind him, we have Yusufi, who has kind of played both right back and right wing, which has, obviously helped with the, squad rotation. Had a few issues, obviously not having a natural right winger, but he's done really well. 26 starts, 10 sub-appearances for him, 8 goals, 7 assists, and a 7.37 average rating. Behind him, we have Nesic, who's played 35, he started 35 games with 3 sub-appearances. Only the 3 goals and 4 assists, which is a little bit low, especially for Nesic, 7.15. And then behind him, also on a 7.15, the great man, Chan Palat. Obviously played pretty much every game since we brought him back to the club. Probably a little bit disappointing that he's only scored 7 goals. 6 assists for him there as well. And like I said, 7.15 average rating for the season since returning. Behind him we have Antonio, who pretty much played right back more than anyone this season. 31 starts, 4 sub-appearances. Again, pretty low. 4 goals and 3 assists, which I think for our fullbacks, it's just not high enough, to be honest. 7.14. Behind him we have Novi on a 7.11 with 3 goals and 2 assists. Pretty much playing defensive midfield the whole season. I didn't even really play him in midfield after we sold Kozic. However, he did pretty well. That's sort of a decent average rating for the defensive midfielder. Just does what he needs to do. Breaks the play up like that. And, kind of an unsung hero, in my opinion. Behind him, we have Vicini, who started 10 games and had 5 sub-appearances. 7.10 average rating, which is both higher than Ivan and Squizzato. Albeit they played a lot more games. Ivan, 7.10, 44 starts, 2 assists for him. And then we have Squizzato, 42 starts, 7.09 average rating with 3 goals. And yeah, I mean, apart from them, I guess Schmidt, he's only 19. He's done pretty well. 11 starts, 14 sub-appearances, 3 goals, 2 assists, and a 7 average rating flat. Along with Brajan. Not really too sure how to pronounce the Russian's name, but he also had a pretty good average rating there with a 7.08 in 7 starts and 3 sub-appearances. I mean, ultimately, the most disappointing player for me this season has been Britos. 27 starts, 8 sub-appearances, only 5 goals and 1 assist, and a 6.92, which is very, very low. I mean, if you look at his profile, he's a wonder kid. He's a 4-star current ability player. But he doesn't do enough. He just doesn't do enough. Anyway, that's going to be it for this episode, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you could drop a like, it'd be much appreciated. Subscribe as well if you haven't already. And yeah, apart from that, take it easy, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye, guys.